Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're tuning in, you already know the security environment is literally shifting right under our feet. Today, we're breaking down the Google Cloud and Mandiant cybersecurity forecast for 2026. And we're going to use their direct insights to reveal exactly how the digital threat landscape is fundamentally transforming into what we're calling an automated battlefield. It's a massive shift, and we're going to map out how both attackers and defenders are actively adapting to this new reality.
To really grasp the critical stakes we're dealing with here, just consider this quote from John Ramsey. He's the VP and General Manager of Google Cloud Security. He says organizations need to be prepared for threats and adversaries leveraging artificial intelligence. It's stark, right? And honestly, it's incredibly urgent. This isn't some far-off futuristic prediction anymore. This is a present-day reality. The era of human-speed cyber attacks, yeah, that's ending. The automated battlefield is already here.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First up, we'll examine the AI arms race. Next, we'll hit cybercrime's new frontiers. Then, we'll map out the geopolitical cyber battlefield. And finally, we'll wrap things up with building a resilient defense.
So, Section 1, the AI arms race, from exception to the norm. We have to completely shatter this idea that AI is just another cybersecurity buzzword. Adversaries aren't just experimenting anymore. They are fully integrating AI to automate their entire attack life cycles.
A perfect and honestly kind of terrifying example of this is prompt injection. You can think of it like a Jedi mind trick, but executed on enterprise AI systems. Attackers are using these carefully crafted inputs to manipulate the AI, basically tricking it into ignoring its own security protocols to execute hidden malicious commands. The report makes it absolutely clear that we're seeing a massive shift right now. Attackers are moving way past those simple proof-of-concept exploits and scaling up to use prompt injection for massive data exfiltration and sabotage.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how attackers are actually pivoting away from complex technical exploits. Instead, they're weaponizing AI against human psychology. Threat actors, like the Shiny Hunters group for instance, are leveraging highly manipulative social engineering. They're using advanced voice cloning to create these hyper-realistic impersonations of executives or IT staff. Imagine an employee getting a phone call that sounds exactly like their CEO, urgently demanding immediate network access. Because AI allows these highly customized attacks to scale massively, it completely bypasses traditional security stacks by simply targeting human trust.
And this brilliantly illustrates the defensive upside of this AI arms race. In the old paradigm, security analysts were just drowning in manual alerts, spending hours correlating data just to make sense of a single threat. But in the agentic SOC, that's the Security Operations Center of 2026, AI agents do the heavy lifting. They're gathering petabytes of data, generating case summaries, and decoding those obfuscated commands. So the human analyst is supercharged. They shift from manual correlation to strategic validation, approving containment actions in literally minutes. The takeaway here? AI doesn't replace human intuition, it scales it.
However, empowering employees with AI introduces a severe internal risk and is defined here as shadow agents. As AI gets more accessible, employees are inevitably going to deploy autonomous AI agents for their daily tasks without corporate approval. And this creates invisible, uncontrolled pipelines for sensitive data. It's like an employee quietly feeding confidential financials into a public AI just to write a quick memo. It's a massive risk for intellectual property theft and compliance violations. The report actually stresses that outright banning these agents won't work. It just pushes them further off network. Instead, organizations need proactive, modern AI governance to route and monitor this traffic safely.
All right, that brings us to Section 2, Cybercrime's New Frontiers. Here, financial motivations are creating cascading economic disruption across global supply chains.
2,302. Take a second and let that number sink in. According to the Mandiant and Google Cloud data, this was the record-breaking number of victims listed on data leak sites in just the first quarter of 2025 alone. That is the highest single-quarter count they've ever observed since they started tracking this back in 2020. The ransomware and data extortion ecosystem has reached a terrifying level of maturity and scale.
And let's look at how this builds into their actual infrastructure. We are witnessing a massive pivot toward an on-chain cybercrime economy. As global finance adopts tokenized assets, cybercriminals are literally migrating their operations to public blockchains. Why? Well, because the blockchain is immutable and completely decentralized. Adversaries are actually using the Web3 stack for decentralized data exfiltration and dynamic command and control. By moving operations on-chain, they gain this incredible resilience against traditional law enforcement takedowns.
At the same time, criminals are aggressively targeting foundational enterprise technology. You can see it outlined in these 3 virtualization blind spots. Because security teams have spent years hardening their endpoints, attackers are just bypassing them altogether. They're going straight for the underlying hypervisors, the foundational software that runs multiple virtual machines. There's often a massive lack of basic endpoint detection and response visibility at this specific infrastructure layer. And when you compound that with outdated software and insecure default configurations, a single compromise here allows an attacker to mass encrypt foundational virtual machine disks, crippling literally hundreds of systems in mere hours.
Which brings us right into Section 3, the geopolitical cyber battlefield. While cybercriminals seek profit, major nation-state actors are driven by global tensions, focusing on long-term strategic goals.
Now think of this strategic landscape almost like a grandmaster analyzing a chessboard. The report outlines the distinct, objective motivations of 4 primary state actors heading into 2026. Russia is shifting toward long-term global footholds, targeting critical infrastructure and utilizing information operations around elections. China's focus is really on massive scale and economic influence, heavily targeting edge devices, third-party providers, and the semiconductor industry with zero-day exploits. Iran is driven by regional influence and regime stability, employing aggressive wiper malware and AI-generated content to sow discord. And North Korea, well, they maintain a highly unique posture, primarily blending strategic espionage with massive revenue generation.
To highlight exactly how efficient that North Korean revenue generation is, look at this: $1.5 billion. This represents the largest recorded cryptocurrency heist executed in 2025 by North Korean actors. They're using highly advanced social engineering, we're talking fake hiring assessments and deepfake videos, combined with global IT worker deployment to infiltrate crypto organizations. Their financial efficiency on the cyber battlefield is, quite frankly, devastating.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground regarding the threats. Now, let's look at the solutions in Section 4, building a resilient defense.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is how you adapt your organization, and these 4 steps are your blueprint for transitioning to the agentic security model. First, implement agentic identity management. You literally have to expand your concept of identity to treat AI agents as distinct digital actors with their own dynamically managed permissions. Second, establish secure by design AI governance. You need controls in place to monitor all AI agent traffic so you can solve that shadow agent problem we discussed earlier. Third, prioritize strict network segmentation and immutable offline backups, especially isolating operational technology from IT networks. That is exactly how you stop ransomware in its tracks. And fourth, shift your entire posture from reactive alert chasing to continuous proactive adaptation.
I really want to leave you with this provocative question because it perfectly summarizes the urgency of the 2026 forecast. Is your organization prepared to govern the invisible shadow agents operating within your network right now? The automated battlefield is already highly active. AI is supercharging both the attackers and the defenders. The organizations that thrive in 2026 will be the ones that look at the data we've covered today, evolve their identity management, and embrace AI not just as a tool, but as a core foundational pillar of their resilient defense. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to review your own 2026 readiness today.